They don't listen when you say stop, so you gotta take action. His page is down because Stubstad, but he put Stubstead, isn't his real last name. So he violated the terms. So did the others. Pavo isn't his first name either. Hi everyone, friends, family, followers, wherever I may post this video. I'm making this video today not because I really want to, but because I feel like I have to. At this point, my Facebook account has been disabled for probably about a month and a half, maybe more. And I've had a lot of friends and family and people texting me, people who are able to get in touch with me that way, asking me what happened. I have my wife getting messages on Facebook from those who don't have other ways to reach me. So I have to make this video to explain everything that happened and also to shed light on some what I perceive to be very significant issues with Facebook's flagging system. And I'm quite frankly shocked that it works as poorly as it does. So this is a story that I'm compelled to tell for that reason, but it's not one I'm excited to tell. That being said, I'm thorough, so this will probably be a long video, but for those looking at the length now and wondering why you're ever going to watch a video that long, let me say I'm going to give my short and sweet version, which I say somewhat ironically, I suppose, because I'm sure it won't be that short and sweet, but I'll give my version of the bullet points of what happened, and then I'd like to comment on Facebook's flagging system afterwards, and after that, I am going to go through half an hour out of a 2-hour long podcast, which I selected clips out of that'll give a much greater amount of detail on everything than I'm going to give initially. So the majority of this video is probably going to be that half hour of selected clips that I took out of this podcast, which I'll talk about more later, that I'm going to talk about. But for those who just want to know what happened, don't worry, you're not going to have to watch for that long. So to give a little background, this is going to become relevant, I promise you. I have to just explain really quick to those of you who don't know. One of my wife, Jen's, hobbies is doing paranormal investigations and things of that nature. And she's been into that for a very long time, since she was a kid, since before I knew her. And for those who don't know, you know, the community of paranormal investigators online, the culture is such that, you know, if you go to a supposed haunted location and you take video and photo and audio evidence and somebody might hear a voice, somebody might see an orb, whatever, those who want to take a more scientific approach to paranormal investigation, like my wife, Jen, and many others, take the approach of at least trying to debunk anything they can that has a scientific explanation. You know, an orb could be dust on the lens, or what sounds like a voice whispering in the background of some audio file could in fact be because the window was open and the neighbors were in their backyard or whatever. These are stupid examples, but just to explain really quick, that's kind of the culture. People post stuff they think might be evidence. They ask other people to debunk it or not, and then chalk it up to potentially being paranormal if you want to be scientifically honest. But anyway, the point is not whether or not whoever's viewing this believes in anything paranormal. The point is just to explain that that's kind of the culture in that field. So my wife, Jen, is known in these various paranormal communities on Facebook as being one who's good at analyzing pictures and good at spotting reasons for something that somebody else might interpret as evidence, you know, where there's actually a scientific explanation for it, you know, lens flare, dust, whatever. There's so many more things I won't even pretend like I know. But so back in January of this year, somebody in a Facebook group tagged my wife, Jen, on some pictures that some guy had posted that supposedly had, you know, a figure, the ghost, whatever. And my wife, Jen, is familiar with various apps that are used to fake evidence, and there are some that are literally put out as jokes that you know, even the app creator says, like, this is just to mess with your friends or whatever. And there's one, I forget what it's called, but where you just push a button and it puts a freaking misty figure into any image you want. And these images that had been posted were clearly from that app, and Jen had screenshots and stuff from the app to show, like, hey, look, here's the same exact figure appearing in a bunch of different images, because it's just this silly app where you press a button, you know. So anyway, Jen was tagged in a post where somebody had posted those. And rather than try to embarrass the person who posted them publicly, she was kind enough to send him a private message in case they weren't originally created by him, in case they were shared from someone else. And she just wanted to tell him like, hey, by the way, these are from an app. Like, here's the app and you can look at the different things it can do. And here's some other examples, blah, blah, blah. And that was back in January 5th, I believe. Yes, January 5th. So Jen sent this guy a couple messages with these screenshots of this app back in January. Never heard from him, didn't think twice about it, never posted publicly about it, just let it go and forgot about it, and everybody moved on with their lives. I didn't even know about this because it was such an insignificant event at the time. Then in May, on May 4th, 4 months later, this man, Jason, who I'm not going to say his last name in this video, by the way, and I'll get into that in a moment. But this man, Jason, responded to her messages from 4 months earlier with just a dick pic. Nothing else. So before I continue, let me just elaborate on what I just said. I'm not going to say this man's last name in this video. Any clips I play from the podcast later where other people say his name, I have censored and muted his last name. I didn't realize it at the time in the part of the story that I'm in now, but it has since come to my attention that it is highly likely that this guy has severe psychological issues. He's perhaps a paranoid schizophrenic. I'm not going to pretend to be a psychologist, but anyone who's had any interaction with this guy for more than a few minutes can tell that there's something really, really off in his brain. And so it's not my desire to tear him down in this video. And therefore, I'm not going to say his last name either. I think any attention online towards him, negative or positive, is just not a good thing at this point. I don't want to give him the attention. This video is inevitably going to revolve around him to an extent, but I really am making it more to just highlight the flaws in Facebook's system. So I'm not going to be saying his last name. It's going to be censored anytime anyone else says it. And, there's a lot of Jasons out there, so I don't think that's really revealing anything. So 4 months after my wife's initial message, this guy sends a dick pic back. And my wife just shows the screenshot to a couple of her friends, like, what the hell? Look at this guy. Like, remember, you tagged me in this post like 4 months ago, and I sent him a few messages, and he said nothing. And now 4 months later, dick pic. What the hell? So my wife and her friends start looking into this guy. And as it turns out, a day or two before, very recently, before he replied with the dick pic, he had actually gotten to be a guest on a paranormal TV show called Ghost Bait on Travel Channel. And that episode had aired just a few days, I believe, I don't know exactly, but very close to when he decided to send that dick pic. And so this, now we get into the the morals of dick pics. And if I may make a quick tangent, I'll say, we're all adults. Any people who want to send pictures like that to each other consensually, I have absolutely nothing against it. And frankly, even if there's some creepy guy who sends one to a girl who doesn't want it because he's into her and he's going about it the wrong way, then, perhaps he deserves to be ridiculed and blocked a little bit. But I wouldn't even personally put something like that in even remotely the same category as this. The point is, this was like an aggressive response to my wife just pointing out, like, hey, I think these pictures were created with an app, like this totally random, inconsequential little thing. And this guy apparently had been on a TV show. He was scheduled to appear on more TV shows, more paranormal radio shows, etc. He was seemingly, perhaps a nobody a little while ago, but becoming a somebody in the paranormal community. And Jen, my wife, and her friends thought that this was really inappropriate for someone of that caliber to be responding in this way. So they called him out on his behavior. They took a screenshot of the whole thing and they censored the actual dick pic. They after finding out who he was, they posted about him on various pages with a censored version of the screenshot of the message he sent my wife. Calling him out for his behavior and saying, like, this isn't an acceptable way for someone who purports to be a professional in this field to behave. He's literally sending women dick pics aggressively as a response to them questioning something he posted as supposed evidence. And not even going into whether it's good evidence or not, just that's an inappropriate reaction. If you disagree, then tell somebody why you disagree about their debunking of your evidence or whatever it is. So they posted in a few places and called him out. And his response to that was to go to my wife's page and my wife's friends' pages and start relentlessly flagging everything that they were posting. And I mean everything, like pictures of my wife with her mother and pictures she's artistic pictures she took of buildings, you name it, just flagging everything relentlessly. And at this point, I still hadn't even gotten involved. I was like, okay, it's just some douchebag. Like, just block him and forget about it, And my wife did block him. My wife's friends did block him. Then he proceeded to make a bunch of extra fake accounts on Facebook and use his own account too to find business pages, community pages, any pages that my wife and her friends were a part of. And he started posting false information about my wife and her friends on these pages that they were a part of. Even though they had blocked him, he couldn't harass their pages directly. He could still try to go after them by leaving fake negative reviews on their business pages and so on and so forth. And what's more, he even tried to drag the Travel Channel into it, which I think is ultimately what was his demise here. But he would post comments like, talking to my wife and her friends, "Nothing you're saying is true, and it's making you three look really trashy, and you are embarrassing yourself. The Travel Channel does not care about your made-up stories to ride off our excellence. I guess if you need attention that bad, then make stuff up, but know that Travel Channel has a team around the clock, and when you lie, they can get rid of your Facebook account for slander. That includes your page groups." So he's dragging the Travel Channel lawyers into this now. And still, at this point, I had not gotten involved yet. I had just encouraged my wife to block him and leave him alone and hope that it goes away. But so just to give some more timeline, he initially sent the dick pic on May 4th, and I did not get involved until a day or two before May 15th. So, over a week of this guy relentlessly harassing my wife and her friends in any way he could get to them on Facebook, flagging everything they posted and posting just horrible stuff, calling them bigots and racists and stuff on pages they were a part of. You name it, this guy would do it. So after a week and a half of this relentless harassment, I finally decided to step in. I really didn't want to get involved with a crazy person like this, but I felt I had to defend my wife and her friends for that matter. So I sent him a message and just said, "Look, man, you have to stop harassing my wife. Like, just stop flagging all of her stuff. Leave her alone. Stop posting fake things about her. You need to leave her alone, or I'm going to have to make a post on my page about everything you're doing and call you out for what you're doing and contact Travel Channel and tell them what you're doing, etc." Like, just trying to get this guy off my wife's back, right? And I told him, if you leave her alone, I won't post anything. And he made similar threats to me. I don't have any screenshots because my account's still gone, but similar threats to me about Travel Channel has a team of lawyers working around the clock, and they're going to make sure that your whole account is taken down for slander and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whatever, dude, just leave my wife alone and I'll leave you alone. And as I recall, the last thing he said was, "Have a nice day." And I didn't respond, and I left it alone. And I think it was a day and a half later, that was in the evening. So the next day had passed, and then the following morning. So yeah, day and a half, 36 hours, whatever. Later, I woke up in the morning, and when I first checked Facebook on my phone, it said, "Please log in." Now, I have my phone's app set to remember me. I haven't had to log in a very, very long time, so I thought, this is odd. And tried to log in, and it said something along the lines of, "Please provide some evidence of your identity. Please provide an ID," or something, or driver's license specifically. So I uploaded a picture of my driver's license, and later the same day, I got a message that just said, "Your account has been disabled. For more information, or if you think your account was disabled by mistake, please visit the help center." So I followed the necessary steps. I filed a dispute on Facebook. I submitted proof of my identity once again. I submitted some information about this man, Jason, and what he was doing, and how I suspected that he had manipulated the algorithm to get my account taken down because he had threatened to get my account taken down. He'd threatened to get my wife's pages taken down, and he apparently threatened a bunch of other people too, which we'll get to later. So if I'm telling the story in a linear fashion, I would continue with my dispute with Facebook at this point, but I think it makes more sense to wrap up the conversation about Jason and then talk about the Facebook angle before I go into the podcast where we're going to see a lot more details about Jason. So there's some disputing with me and Facebook going on here and there, but meanwhile, Jason is still posting things on my wife and her friends' pages like this one, for a paranormal investigator to call somebody weird and to publicly humiliate trans, gay, and minority rights. It's sickening to see them get so involved in political issues. Get a grip on yourselves. This has nothing to do with abortion or gay rights. If you want to be a paranormal investigator, start acting like one, blah, blah, blah. It's cut off there because we didn't get the screenshot when it was all showing. But, I mean, this is a review posted on a paranormal page that doesn't talk about politics, nor do my wife or her friends have these opinions about trans or gay people whatsoever. So literally just spreading fake information about everyone. And not to mention, he got my entire account taken down, and I got proof of it later, which we'll get to. But just to wrap up this stuff on Jason, other things he did after taking my account down were somehow he got a hold of my wife's personal email address and sent her a fake cease and desist letter with the stamp of a real law firm on it. My wife called the law firm, and of course, they'd never heard of the guy. So he just sent her a fake cease and desist letter and somehow found her email, which is kind of disturbing. And even though she had blocked him everywhere, he still found ways to get to her. He'd find a mutual acquaintance or something, and he sent these messages to a friend of hers to pass on to her, which I would like to read here. Here he says, "Tell Jen Stubstad, you need to relax. Nobody would send anything of the sort to somebody ugly like you. That's my opinion and a fact, both of which are not slander. Your husband, well, I can't help what my fans do." There's a hint right there. His fans. What he means is his own 30 different fake Facebook accounts that he used all at the same time to flag my profile for a bogus reason. But we'll get to that later. Let's get back to the message. "You cannot and will not do anything. You will do as you're told and stop fussing about it. If you have such a great attorney, where's my lawsuit? Where's my cease and desist? You have no case, and even if you continue to fabricate one, you blank and blank, all slander, and attach sexual references to me in post. I don't care. The more attention you draw, the more issues you will have, and people will soon stop supporting you because girls have attempted to solicit me for what you claim." And it backfired. "A celebrity that's been seen on TV worldwide like myself does not send any suggestive photos to fat old women like you. I have a girlfriend, and she also doesn't care about your cry for attention and faking the victim for profit. Send me the cease and desist, otherwise you're just all talk." Now, this message is incredibly revealing on so many ways, and it was when I first saw this message that it dawned on me, like, whoa, this guy isn't just a random asshole. Like, he has serious mental issues. He clearly has some issues with women, the way he talks to and about my wife and other women. And the whole line, you know, "a celebrity that's been seen on TV worldwide like myself does not send any suggestive photos to fat old women like you." He clearly, truly believes that since he was on TV once for like 10 minutes in one episode of a 20-minute show, that he's world famous and now he can do anything he wants. And it's when I saw these messages that it made sense to me that he waited 4 months to reply to my wife's messages from January before he sent the dick pic, because it was, "I've been on TV. Now I can do anything I want." And it seems to me like he legitimately thought that way. He legitimately thought, "Oh, I have now been on television. I can send anyone dick pics I want. I can harass anyone I want. And because I've been on TV, my network will go to bat for me and shut down anyone who comes out with any information against me, whether it's true or not, because I'm like a freaking god now that I've been on one episode of one show one time." So there was that message. At this point, I had contacted Travel Channel, my wife had contacted Travel Channel, and as it turned out, Jason had been harassing countless other people online in the same way, most of them connected to the paranormal community in one way or another. I'm not directly, it's more of my wife's thing, but through her I am connected to it. So many people contacted the Travel Channel about this man's behavior that within a couple of weeks of when the episode had originally aired, they pulled it. If you go look at Ghost Bait on Amazon, on iTunes, on cable TV, anywhere you can find that show, All of the other episodes are still available. And if you go to, I believe it's episode 11, John, everywhere it says video not available. So Travel Channel got so many reports about the stuff that this guy was doing to people online that they pulled the episode. I haven't really followed a lot of TV shows that closely in my lifetime. You know, I've had my favorites, but I have never even seen that happen. I've never seen an episode be aired and then subsequently pulled. I've seen shows get canceled, you know, mid recording, whatever. They never finished the episode because they canceled the show. But this is different. Like, it was aired and it was canceled. Or it was pulled. Sorry, it wasn't canceled. The show's still there. All the other episodes are still available. But his was pulled. That's how significant this was. This wasn't just us. He was doing the same thing he was doing to my wife and her friends and me to tons of other people. He relentlessly flagged my wife's stuff and her friend's stuff. None of their accounts got taken down. Somehow mine got taken down. I still can't really figure it out. I do have more details I'll get into later. But, yeah. So then, because I'm furious and whatever, so everybody's furious about what this guy is doing to people, we're all going after him. I made a YouTube video where I talked about everything he did because I wanted to show it to Travel Channel. Now, I won't share the link to that here or anything because I did use his full name in that, and I have since realized that he's mentally unstable and doesn't deserve the attention and shouldn't have the attention. And in fact, I should clarify, I made that video before I saw these last two messages that really made me realize how mentally unstable this guy was. But anyway, so people are trying to, you know, expose him for what he's doing because he keeps trying to go after more and more and more people like this, spreading fake information about people and calling people racist and homophobic and literally like spreading around fake criminal reports, like trying to make certain people believe that, or trying to make friends of a certain person believe that that person is a criminal because he found some report of some person with the same name who committed a crime, but it's a totally different person. Like, just totally insane stuff. So anyway, this insane person is now reaching out to various shows and podcasts and stuff because everyone in the paranormal community is now turning against him. He's lost his one episode. He's going crazy, lashing out at everybody. But he wants to get on these shows and like clear his name. And he's convinced that he can show the world that the dick pic was faked, which it absolutely wasn't. I mean, we have freaking video proof of my wife opening Messenger and scrolling down to it. We didn't just take a screenshot so we could make sure to prove it. Of course, I can't show that in this video, nor would any of you want to see it. But anyway, we have proof of it. But anyway, so he's reaching out to shows, and he reaches out to one show of a lady who has a significant following, and this is actually the show I'm gonna talk about at the end of this video and show some clips from. And I'll credit her, of course, at the time as well, but since I'm talking about it briefly now, I will fully credit Christina George. Her show is Paranormal Connections. I will link to it in the description below or comments or wherever. I do plan to post this video on Facebook as well as YouTube. But full credit to her. It was a great show. But anyway, so Jason reaches out to her, who I didn't know at the time. My wife didn't know at the time. And he tries to tell her, you know, the whole thing's fake, blah, blah, blah. He wants to clear his name. And I won't go into too many of these details here because we'll see that when I show clips from this episode of her show later. But she says, well, if you truly are innocent, I would love to help you clear your name, but I'm going to have to look into the details and look into it myself and whatever. And so she contacts my wife and my wife's friends and gets the other side of the story and whatever. And it becomes extremely obvious with all these screenshots, of which I've only shown you a small percentage of, that this guy is nuts and he's harassing everybody and nobody faked anything. And he's like, you know, abusing Facebook's flagging system like crazy to get people's pages taken down and you name it. So during this conversation that Jason had with Christina, he ended up, and this is another indication of his mental instability. Like, if you actually abused Facebook's flagging system to get someone's page taken down and got away with it, you wouldn't then go around bragging about doing it because that shows your hand. Like, then you're just a fucking idiot. But he couldn't help himself. He's proud of what he did, right? So in private messages where he's talking to this person he barely knows, who is a sane person who got to the bottom of the issue and didn't let him get on the show, and instead had my wife and her friends on the show. But anyway, in private messages to her, he said this: "They don't listen when you say stop, so you gotta take action." His page is down because Stubstead Stubstead, but he put Stubstead, isn't his real last name. Yeah, because, if I were to make up a last name, it would definitely be something super weird like that. So he violated the terms. So did the others. So did the others. Here he's admitting to doing the same thing to other people as well. He doesn't give specifics, but he says, so did the others. And then the lies get gratuitous, as if just saying Stubstead isn't his real last name, then his next message is, Pavo isn't his first name either. Okay, so my first and last name are fake, apparently. And then he says, Jen also lost her account for the same reason. Curious, I think Jen blocked him and then it convinced him that he had gotten her account taken down. He actually hasn't, but he thought so. So anyway, there he shows his hand. He admits what he did to get my account taken down. And he had also had a phone conversation with Christina, where obviously I don't have screenshots of that, but where he verbally admitted to her that he created 30 plus fake accounts to flag my profile all at the same time for the bogus reason of using a fake name. Now, how this worked as far as Facebook's flagging algorithm is beyond me, and that's the main thing I want to get to here. But he admitted that that's what he did. He also apparently admitted to her verbally that he posted porn on my Pure Heiser Productions page. Most of you who know me probably know me through disc golf anyway, but for those who don't, I'll say that was my disc golf video page on Facebook, where I posted videos of professionals playing disc golf. Apparently, he was able to post porn on that page and get that page entirely removed too. Now, once again, a post on a page like that made by a page admin where it shows up as Pure Heiser Productions posted blah, 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 is distinctly different from a random person posting something to that page. You would think even if Facebook didn't have the manpower for humans to look at all of these things that are being flagged, you'd think the automated system would be able to tell the difference between someone posting something to a page versus the page admin posting something themselves. But apparently, he got that page taken down too. That could just be because my personal page was taken down and I was the only admin of PHP. So that could be the reason, but supposedly he admitted this to Christina in private as well. So anyway, at this point, Christina has figured out that Jason is a liar. And she has invited my wife and her friends on for a 2-hour show where she talks about all the evidence she has gathered against Jason, not only from my wife and her friends, but from a bunch of other people as well. And it's a it's a 2-hour show. And I took half an hour out of it, not a solid half hour, but various clips. And I did my absolute best to not take anything out of context. It was just to edit it down to the parts that were more relevant to myself and my wife than the parts that were on perhaps other people that Jason had harassed and whatnot. So I'm going to go through that at the end of this, but this should give you enough information to get a gist of the situation. And if you want to hear really how much deeper the rabbit hole goes with Jason, then please stick around after I talk about the Facebook angle of this whole thing. And check out the half hour of clips I've pulled out of the Paranormal Connections radio show. Again, full credit to Christina George for letting me use these clips. But for now, I would really like to talk about the Facebook angle for a bit, because honestly, to me, that's the most disturbing. But really quick, before we get to that, the one little bridge I want to touch on before we jump over to that is there's this other comment that Jason sent Christina in a message that had something kind of disturbing, and I should touch on this as well. Apparently, I didn't learn this till much later, the reason that Jason was able to get on Ghostbait on this paranormal TV show on Travel Channel was because he claimed he had 50 demons possessing him or whatever. Yeah, that's the sign of a mentally stable person. But anyway, so this comment from Jason to Christina here, he said some other stuff, and it's crazy for me to wear a burlap sack in my house on national television and confront the 50 demons unleashed years ago, facing all that without my medication to numb me to my clairvoyance and empathic nature, blah, blah, blah. Let me repeat one part of that. Facing all that without my medication to numb me. Now, I'm not saying that anyone at Travel Channel had any idea this guy was on medication, but for a film crew and a production crew to go to this man's house and not realize that there's something severely wrong with this man, that he should perhaps be in a mental institution, if not at least kept away from social media and public appearances, especially television shows, since being on a show apparently gave him the false impression that he could now harass anyone he wanted and get away with anything he wanted to do to anyone. But for someone to think like, ooh, this'll make for good television, this guy thinks he's possessed by 50 demons, and put this man in a position, whether it was knowingly or unknowingly, where he got off of his medication, perhaps some fucking anti-psychosis medication, who knows? He got off of his medication to do this show, and thus he was unleashed on the entire paranormal community, and apparently even people connected indirectly to the paranormal community like myself. Like, who at Travel Channel in their right mind thought, yeah, it's a good idea. Let's give this guy an episode who, like, I don't know. You've seen the stuff he said. You've seen, and you'll see more in the podcast. But that's just insane to me. Like, who the hell thought it was a good idea to let this guy on TV and put him in a position where he felt like he should stop taking his meds? That's insane. So that's the short version of the Jason story, which I'm aware was not short at all. But we're going to get to more details about that afterwards. But now what I really want to talk about in this video is the Facebook angle, because this is the angle that bothers me the most out of all of this. So as I said, when I initially checked my phone and provided ID, it said my account has been disabled, and then I disputed it and submitted my ID again and my full name and my email address and stuff. That was obviously like questions they were asking me to prove my identity, which at the time I didn't know Jason had flagged my account for using a fake name. But in hindsight, now it makes sense that Facebook was asking me those questions. So I provided all that stuff. And now, little quick tangent, I know plenty of people who use fake names on Facebook who are a different person in real life than the name they use on Facebook. Some of them are just other real sounding names. Some of them are like totally obvious made up stuff like Pirate Bob, whatever. Like, anyway, so clearly Facebook doesn't really enforce that rule anyway, but I'm not even one of the people who did that. Like, I have always used my full real name on Facebook, and my ID proves it. So I sent that ID to Facebook, and I get an automated reply from Facebook that reads as follows. Hi, Pavo. Thanks for your report. We'll review the information you provided and get back to you when we have an update on your report. In the meantime, you can review our community standards to learn more about what is and isn't allowed on Facebook. Link to community standards. We appreciate your patience. View updates from your support inbox. Okay, so I actually read through the entire community standards to make sure that there wasn't some obscure rule that I could have violated that I didn't know about, but no. It's all standard stuff, no doxing, no harassment, whatever. Like, I have some strong political opinions, but I've never threatened anyone jokingly or seriously. I've never done anything that comes close to breaking any of the Facebook guidelines. So no, I didn't break them. So that was May 15th, the day my account was disabled. I followed up with a few more replies, giving them details about Jason and whatnot. And eventually, a couple days later, May 17th, they reply and say, Hi, Pavo. We've determined that you are ineligible to use Facebook. To learn more about Facebook's policies, please review the Facebook Statement of Rights and Responsibilities, and a link to that. Unfortunately, for safety and security reasons, we can't provide additional information as to why your account was disabled. We appreciate your understanding, as this decision is final. Thanks, Riley. Riley. It says Riley. I got a human. It doesn't say Facebook team. It says Riley. I got a real human. Oh, maybe I can reply and actually get somewhere now. Cool. So I reply and explain everything again, and I am sure I didn't violate any guidelines, and I looked through all the guidelines, and if you can tell me what I've violated, I would really love to know, because my account's been in good standing for over 10 years since I created it, and I've never had a single strike, and I've never posted anything that violates any guidelines, and whatever. And again, at this time, I didn't know that it was taken down for using a fake name, so I didn't hound that angle of it. But several more messages trying to get through to this Riley person. Please, Riley, give me a chance, whatever. Just let me know what I did wrong. I would just love my account back, and I depend on it for my business and all that. So after several more messages, another reply. Hi. Your account has been permanently disabled for not following the Facebook community standards. Unfortunately, we won't be able to reactivate it for any reason. This will be our last email regarding your account. For more information about our policies, please review the Facebook community standards. So at this point, and again, this one is signed, thanks, Riley. At this point, it's becoming clear to me that there's no Riley. Facebook is just fucking with people. Like, they say Facebook team on the first few, and then they throw in a random real human name. There might be a representative at Facebook named Riley who has to give this same canned automated reply to 10,000 disputes a day and can't possibly look at them all. I'm not saying Riley doesn't exist. I'm saying these messages aren't being written by a Riley, because there ain't no fucking Riley reading my messages, because it's all canned responses as if I did something so horrendous that they can't even explain to me what I did, which after looking up these messages, like, this is what people see when they've posted child pornography or pro-terrorism videos or who knows what, like, insane. So anyway, my account's gone. My business page is gone. A lot of my business connections are gone. I have my clients, the main clients I keep in touch with outside of Facebook. I don't need Facebook to keep my business afloat. But if I'm being honest about it, I mean, I would not have grown my disc golf video business as big as I did without Facebook. Not at all. Not without interacting with the community. And some might say, well, you abandoned that project a few years ago anyway. True. It's still sad to lose the history. And of course, it's on YouTube. But the Facebook page was a nice memory to have. But even though Pure Heiser Productions faded away, I would argue that my time spent on those videos got my foot in the door with Central Coast. And now I've been doing work for Ian at Central Coast Disc Golf and gotten other disc golf gigs through my contacts on Facebook. So this is quite literally affecting my livelihood. Now, meanwhile, Jason continues, like for months on end, harassing dozens, if not hundreds of people on Facebook. And I know, because my wife has talked to a lot of them, that these people are constantly flagging his page for harassment and sending Facebook screenshots of the harassing messages he's sending and the false messages he's sending and the fake cease and desist text that he's copy pasting all over Facebook pages and just the absolute batshit crazy stuff that this guy is doing. His account has been flagged hundreds of times. Facebook has gotten hundreds, if not thousands, of screenshots of this man's behavior, yet his account stays up. Where I did nothing wrong and he was able to manipulate the algorithm to the point where my entire account got removed. And my business page? I mean, what the fuck is wrong with Facebook? How on earth does it work this way? Having no flagging system at all would be superior to having this joke of a flagging system that Facebook has today, where a mentally unstable, possibly psychotic person like this Jason character can figure out how to manipulate the algorithm to get people's accounts taken down. And you saw in those screenshots, he knows he can do it. He has done it to other people. He knows he can do it to more people in the future. He's aware that he has this power and he blackmails people with this power. And he might hide behind the Travel Channel lawyers are going to take your page down. But like, no, dude, it's you with a bunch of fake accounts. We figured it out. But what's even more crazy to me than this guy doing this is that Facebook works this way. How is it possible for this guy to do this? This is a mentally unstable, crazy person who was able to do this. Just think what an intelligent, coherent, vindictive person could do with this power. That's what's really scary to me. I mean, this is just some crazy dude, but, are you a business owner who doesn't mind doing some shady shit to get a leg up on your competition? Find your competition's business page on Facebook, create 30 fake accounts, and flag the pages of all the moderators for using a fake name even if they're not, because Facebook is so fucking broken that they won't figure it out and the pages will get taken down anyway. I am not encouraging anyone to do that. To be very clear, I do not want anyone to do that, but I am just shedding some light on the fact that it is evidently possible to do that. If Jason can figure out how to do this, anyone can figure out how to do this. Did you have a bad breakup? Are you mad at your ex? create 30 fake Facebook accounts and go flag their profile for using a fake name with all of them at the same time and get their page taken down. Meanwhile, people who are abusing the system, harassing everybody, can get flagged thousands of times and they get to keep their account. But Facebook's automated system is like, oh my God, 30 accounts that were created within the last 24 hours are all flagging the same page for using a fake name. It must be true. And then the automated system is like, provide proof of identity. Okay, here it is. It's me. Nope, your account's disabled. No explanation, no reason. Go away. This is final. And then on top of that, for Facebook to switch the reply from Facebook team to Riley, 2 or 3 messages into the exchange, to trick people into thinking, oh good, I finally got a human. I finally got someone who might actually read my replies. This isn't just the automated system replying to me, based on whatever automated thing happened that removed my account. I got a human. No, I didn't. Facebook just fucking tricked me. So at this point, it's become clear that there's a good chance I might never get the account back. I might never get a human. I have contacted someone I know with connections in the industry, and therefore I might get my account back. And if I do, great for me. But most people don't have connections in the tech industry. I'm fortunate in that regard. Of course, I'm not going to mention anyone specific here, but I happen to know someone who's quite successful with connections to where I might actually get my account back. I was told to create a different email address and stuff because apparently the one I had associated with my account cannot be reconnected to Facebook in any way after an account has been banned for this reason. But I might get it back. I might not. Who knows? I was told to just wait. It might take months. It might happen. It might not. And in the meantime, I'm going to have to just create a new account because I'm tired of this. I mean, I was patiently waiting for it to get revived, but now I'm realizing it might never. And it's just sad, man. Like, not only the business opportunities I could have potentially lost through this, but I've had friends and family text me and message me on other platforms or just on my phone and like, hey, did you block me on Facebook? What happened? Like, people literally think that I blocked them or that I'm mad at them for some reason. And those are just the people who have reached out to me. How many have had the thought like, oh, why did Pavo block me? But they don't have my phone number because they're just an acquaintance, or they aren't Facebook friends with my wife, so they can't ask her or whatever. And then just, losing out on the opportunity to partake in the Facebook posts about Beaver State Fling after I went up there and filmed and edited. I actually just edited on that trip, but with the Central Coast crew. It was my first time working in the full big crew on next day video production, and Ian had a huge post about it that where he thanked everybody, including me, and I would have loved to reply and comment and thank him and share the post and tell my followers how stoked I was to have joined the Central Coast team and be part of filming a big tournament. Couldn't partake in that either. All I could do was look at the screenshots or look at my wife's phone when she showed me, the stuff that was posted. So I guess I'm going to have to just make a new account. And that's really sad. For me, I'm fine. I've made a living comfortably without the clients that I gain through Facebook. It's honestly more disc golf work that I get through Facebook, which I'm more passionate about, but it's not the main source of my income, so I'm fine. But just the fact that there are many people who rely on Facebook for their business a lot more than I do. People who are in ticket sales or people who are selling homemade items or jewelry, whatever, that rely on a Facebook page to sell stuff. And sure, people like that have other pages too or whatever. But my point is there are lots of people where if the same thing happened to them that happened to me, their income could have literally been cut in half or worse. Mine was probably affected by 5% or less. I'm fine. But it could have been so much worse if Jason was able to do this to someone else who relied more heavily on Facebook for their income. And the fact that Facebook gives no explanation, no response, nothing. And again, I replied again after I figured out that he flagged my account for using a fake name and sent my driver's license once again and said I'd be happy to provide a passport photo if that's what it takes. Like, please respond. No response from Facebook in over a month at this point. So who knows? My only hope is this other angle where my account may get reactivated someday with a different email address. It may not. But until then, I got to create a new one, get back to my life. And Yeah, I'm just extremely disappointed in how poorly Facebook's flagging system works. My account can get taken down overnight with no explanation when I never violated a single community guideline, yet Facebook can have hundreds of screenshots of proof of Jason violating all kinds of community guidelines and sending people threatening messages and sexually explicit messages and you know, you name it, threatening to sue and all this kind of stuff. And no matter how many people flag his account, it doesn't get taken down. It's just such a broken system. So, therefore, this video will probably be posted on YouTube and Facebook because I no longer trust Facebook. And I'm probably going to create a Twitter account, maybe Instagram. Finally, I've stayed off those platforms for a long time, convincing myself that I already wasted enough time on Facebook. But I guess you can't put all your eggs in one basket, is the lesson I've learned from this. So that is the end of the Jason story and the Facebook story from my perspective. But there is a lot more detail on this Jason character. So if you'd care to hear more, in the final section of this video, I'd like to play clips from Paranormal Connections. Again, thank you, Christina George, for letting me use these clips. And I'd like to play this and interject my own commentary at times. But this is mainly an opportunity for you to hear the whole story told from my wife's perspective, because she was a guest on the show and she's the one who all this stuff initially happened to. I mean, I was the one who got my fucking account banned, but she was the one who initially received the dick pic and was having all the harassing messages and false stuff spread about her everywhere. You know, the guy never went after me publicly posting anything about me anywhere. He just, when I messaged him to tell him to stop harassing my wife, he said, have a nice day, and then in 36 hours my account was gone. He didn't do that stuff to me. So I think it's important to hear this from my wife, as well as my wife's friend, and as well as Christina George, who is now has now also received a bunch of threats from Jason since she refused to let him clear his name on her show when she figured out that he was lying about everything. So to those of you who are going to sign off now, which I imagine is the majority of you, thanks a lot for watching. I know this was long. I'm long-winded, but I like to be thorough and get all of the information out there and be as honest as possible. And I really just had to tell this story, get it off my chest, and most importantly, just give people a video I can point to when I inevitably get the question, you know, dozens of times, if not hundreds, as I build up my Facebook following again, or just connections to my friends and family on Facebook again. Hey, what happened to your account? Did you remove me? I don't want to answer that question 1,000 times. So here's a video to tell the story. And thanks again for watching. And if anybody has connections at Facebook, tell them a shortened version of the story, or just tell them that this kind of thing is possible and that it desperately needs to be fixed, because this is insane that someone's life, potentially, if they rely on Facebook for their income, someone's life can be destroyed by a random psycho with some vendetta against someone. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching, and now we'll move on to Paranormal Connections.
A mutual friend reaches out to me and says, hey, I have a friend. His name is Jason Neal. He's going through some bullying like you and I have gone through, and wanted to see, he wants to see if he can come on the show and clear his name and kind of promote what he's doing. Now, again, for as much as people want to say that I'm about exposing people, which I have no problem doing, I'm also have always been about giving a platform to be able to clear somebody's name when shit's being falsely put out about them. And the reason I do that is because I personally have had all kinds of that happen. So Jason's in this chat, and so I said, okay, you know, I have no problem. I'll bring you on the show. What would you like to, you know, address? And so he was telling me about how all these people were putting all these fake rumors out and harassing him and bullying him. And since I've been on the receiving end of that, I completely understood. So I said, absolutely, I would be happy to bring you on the show. Just let it be known, I need to know, first of all, what the rumors are. And so he went through the rumors. One was like he was faking evidence. And I was like, okay, so did you fake evidence? Absolutely not. And then he goes into the whole thing about how he's got 50 demons and blah, blah, blah in his house. And okay, so we got to focus, Jason. We got to go back. All right, what's the next rumor that you have? Oh, well, that I'm sending unsolicited dick pics to people in the field. Now, now that caught my attention. A little red light, ding, 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 Christina, pay attention right here, because we already know I've done shows on this before, which again shows he does no research. And my friend sure as hell should have done some research before she came to me with this shit. But nobody did their research, so again, we're in this chat. And I said, don't worry, I'll get down to the bottom of it. I said, but I want to ask you, did you send this pic to this person, or, and he said, well, why don't you ask her? And I said, oh, well, don't worry, that I'm going to. And I think when I said that, it kind of threw him off. And then he was I said, I'm planning on talking to everybody. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I don't just have people come on and just let them trash anybody, and I don't know what's really going on. And he said, well, there's no way to prove if that's really a pic of my junk or not unless I take a pic of myself and send it to you so you could compare. And I said, oh, hell, no, thank you. Don't need you to send the real, fake, anything. Don't need any of it. Instead, the way that I will do it is I will actually have the person it was sent to forward me the message, not screenshot it, forward me the message. And at that point, he had already, he was spamming the whole chat with all this crap that had been said about him and links and screenshots. And he admitted that he had sent a pretty nasty message to this woman's husband, and because this had happened. And so I said, okay, well, I'll get those. And now I've got an actual message that you admit you have sent. And I can take the message that is forwarded to me, and I can take the metadata information off of the photos, and we can find out all kinds of things. You can find out if it's been altered, if it's been layered, if it's been added, taken away from, edited, anything you can tell. You can also find out the IP, the time it was taken, and even the devices that it was taken from, and the time and date. So, and I said, and
Metadata is a lovely thing, isn't it, Jason?
And then he started to get nervous, and he started saying, well, if you're going to talk to them, if you put out anything slanderous about me, I will go after you as well. And I shut down their pages and I'll shut your show and your pages down too. Now, I already saw that the guy was a little off, but again, if you're going to come to my page, my show, my chat, anything, know who you're dealing with, because the worst thing you can do is threaten me. If you threaten me not to go somewhere, I'll probably be there next weekend. I've proved that many a times. If you tell me don't do a show, I might do 8 shows on you. I might do 50 shows on you. I might do one every single week just to be petty bitch, because that's what I can do, because it's my show. So he kept on and he kept on and he kept on. And then he went to my show page, and as I guess we were in the chat, he was looking through my show page, and he started mentioning to me that there was this group of girls that were after him. And I said, group of girls? Like, what, they got some girl gang now that, is coming after this guy? Like, what do you do? And he said, yeah, they're called the Mystery Gang. He's like, I'm out of here, screw this, I'm not doing this, I'm going to be your worst nightmare. And I was like, before I could say, bring it on, buddy, he blocked me. So anyway, I got to the bottom of it. I started reaching out. People started reaching out to me, started making connections, and at that point, I was able to meet, well, actually the person who is responsible for the Mystery Gang, but I was also able to be introduced to the girl who received the random dick pic. And when I bring her on, you should listen to what his excuse was on that one. But kind of my theory is here. I know that this guy...
So, obviously, we've cut out a lot here. We've transitioned to when Jen and Susie have been invited on the show.
Is wanting attention. All right? We all kind of agree on that. He's spamming. He's doing whatever he can to ruin businesses, affect jobs, incomes, whatever he can, because he is upset. But I think that the thing is that when we're not putting this stuff out there, if we're afraid to have all this happen, it continues because they just go from you, then to me, then to the next person that says something. And Mr. has been very, very busy these last few weeks.
So this really highlights why I felt like I had to make this video more than, that I wanted to make this video. Not only to explain to everyone what happened to my page, but also because I feel the same way that Christina is expressing here, that if we don't speak out about this stuff, then people like Jason are just going to continue harassing people forever and ever. And this brings me to a point that I didn't really touch on in my breakdown earlier, where, this isn't just about how Facebook should protect innocent people like me and should probably have accounts like Jason's taken down. But not only for the sake of the innocent people, but honestly for the sake of people like Jason too. These people that are clearly mentally unstable, and they go on social media and they start making enemies out of everyone they interact with because there's something wrong with them. And it took me a little while to figure that out. And I'm sure other people might not even notice it. And he's making enemies out of everyone. And, if he picks on the wrong person who happens to live close to him, who doesn't realize that this is a mentally unstable person, if he goes after someone's wife or someone's child or someone's husband or someone's mother or whatever he does, all these things he does where he goes after family members and makes up fake stuff about people and private messages it to everyone on your friend list. And his MO is such that, like, if he makes an enemy that lives near him, I'd be worried for his safety. And I hate to say that I'm worried for the safety of this guy that's the cause of all this ridiculousness for me. And as much as I don't sympathize with him personally, I can't help but look at the bigger picture and think how many other mentally unstable people are wreaking havoc on social media and making enemies out of people all over the place. And Facebook, in this case, isn't doing their job by not only protecting the innocent people, but removing these accounts that clearly people with mental conditions like what Jason has, and I'm sure others have too, they just, for their own good and for their own safety, they shouldn't have access to social media. And I say that as someone who is very, very against censorship in almost all cases. Even I don't want to turn this political, but I have very left-wing progressive views, and there have been, stories about right-wingers being censored and not being allowed to speak on college campuses and stuff. And even if I totally disagree with those people, I am still against them being censored. And I come from a perspective like that when I say, even so, I think this is a case like this is when Facebook's flagging system should work. If his account is being flagged by all these different people who he's harassing, and for good reason, why the heck isn't it being removed? This is unfair to the people he's harassing, and it's unfair to him because chances are his life was a lot less chaotic before he got on one TV show and thought he was world famous and thought he could harass anyone he wants, and now he has made enemies all over the place and probably doesn't know how to deal with it. Because he's clearly mentally unstable. So, I mean, this is crazy. Like, why is Facebook not removing this guy and all of his accounts? I don't know.
Tell you.
Yeah. Well, I'm blocked. So I'll start at the beginning. Back in January, before he was even on Ghost Bait, I didn't know who this guy was. He was posting on different paranormal groups that I'm on these pictures of these so-called like shadow figures and demons, and I beta test for a lot of different apps, and I knew right away that was Ghost Detective Pro. And rather than call him out publicly in these chats, and he's posting these fake pictures, like trying to get sympathy, saying how real they were and how he's tormented, I private messaged him and I'm like, hey dude, this is from the Ghost Detector Pro app. Here's some examples of the exact same figures that other people have taken with this app, thinking maybe he didn't realize, because basically this app takes photos and there's nothing on them, and then it renders them, and all of a sudden there's like a shadow figure, and it doesn't always put them on. That was back in January, and then in May, no response to me saying like, hey, these are fake or anything. He just sends a dick pic. And I'm like, really? You're trying to get sympathy. I never had said to him, like, I don't believe what you're experiencing isn't real or anything. I just called him out on posting these photos that he knew was from an app. So instead of responding to me like an adult, that's what he did. And I shared that message through Messenger to my friends, Lisa and Susie, like, look what this guy sent me. Do you remember him? Because we were all on these different pages. And we kind of all decided that we shouldn't tolerate bullying like that. And I mean, it's a dick pic. I'm sure we've all received dick pics and like, whatever. But
No, now I'm not even happy because now I think I received a fake dick pic on top of it. What am I doing wrong? So I put that back. I do not want that. I'm just playing. I will expose you. Send them to me.
But anyway, he starts spamming our paranormal pages and personal pages with reviews. And Facebook, when you put a review on Facebook, you can't take them down. So just really horrible stuff, saying that we're homophobic and hate trans people and bigoted and we hate men. He told us that women belong in the kitchen cooking and cleaning, and we had to do what we're told.
Yes,
so
I did see
shots of all of this stuff. So because he blocked me and I blocked him because I didn't want to deal with him, so I can't see any of his posts or anything, and haven't been able to for quite a while. But I saw that he was posting on other people's pages about me. So my husband stepped in, sent him a message saying, hey dude, you need to stop harassing my wife, because he was just going after me like crazy.
Right.
And what he did was create 30 fake profiles and flag my husband's personal Facebook page and our business page for video editors, and got them pulled off of Facebook completely. And my husband can't get his business page or personal page back because Jason said that his name was fake, which is not true. It's not fake at all. So we're still dealing with the aftermath of that.
I also, kind of want to clear up a little bit, because his take on this was that, first of all, that you had been out there harassing him and he hadn't been doing anything. What was funny was that when I asked him personally, did he send this dick pic to you? He said no.
To clarify, Jen's contact with Jason prior to the dick pic and all the harassment was literally 2 or 3 messages about the Ghost Detector Pro app or whatever in January. 2 or 3 messages. 4 months later, dick pic. 2 days after that, relentless harassment all over Facebook and YouTube, for that matter, and anywhere, her personal email, anything he could find. It absolutely insane.
That it was, you had made it up, that you had created it. And he's like, there's apps to do that. You know that? And I'm like, yeah, you would know,
You would know.
Right?
You would know.
But I saw the comment or the interaction between you and between him. And from what he had told the mutual friend that reached out to contact me, he personally told me that he had not sent it, that it was faked. But he had told her a whole different story. He had said that you had messaged him and you were harassing him all online and all kinds of stuff for months way back in January, and that you just kept it up. And so that he sent that dick pic to you basically like a fuck you because he got on television, because he sent it like right after, I guess, like when the filming was going on or whatever.
I'm famous. Now I can do whatever I want to anyone, and someone will protect me. I'm a sane person, said no one ever.
So, again, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the screenshots between you and him, and just as you said, you were just saying, hey, this was definitely made by, an app. I'm just reaching out to you. I mean, you did not do it publicly, which I would have, but you just reached out to him and said, hey, dude, you shouldn't be doing this, because we don't need people like that in the field. He is somebody who is very needy. He definitely wants to be famous, and he made that clear over and over and over. And in fact, he's pretty convinced from that one episode that he actually was very famous, and that he was going to make all this blow up, and you guys were going to, be toast out there. Nobody was going to ever listen to you guys again. Now, he also had put out many posts stating that he had Travel Channel's lawyers on his backing him, and that the lawyers have nothing better to do for the Travel Channel but to go to the Mystery Game page and about him. And so they were so upset by what you had said and that you were sharing this stuff about him that they were going to have your page taken down. Now, I privately had said, look, dude, I have a problem with you lying to these girls because you and I both know that the Travel Channel did not help you take down those pages. He ended up admitting that he had actually was the one that reported them, and he's the one that got Jen's husband's page taken down. But it wasn't just that. Like, I mean, he went to such lengths because the same thing that he's doing right now to me is the same thing. Like, if he can Google you and he can find anything that is you, might remotely be you, and if he can't find anything about you, he's just going to make some shit up and just put it out there. I mean, again, saying that somebody's homophobic and all of these things, again, just to incite hate against somebody because they've exposed it, you know.
So just to clarify, because this is kind of bizarre and I think highlights the sexist angle of whatever mental condition Jason has as well. Like the stuff they're talking about, you know, spreading completely fake, made up stuff about people, he has done that relentlessly to all three of these women and countless other women. But even with me, like, he did whatever he did to get all of my pages removed overnight with no explanation, which is very extreme. But he didn't do any of that type of stuff to me. And even when I private messaged him and said, you know, I'm going to post on my page, blah, 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 if you don't leave my wife alone, he was like strangely polite in his responses to me. I mean, he did say, you know, Travel Channel is going to have your page taken down and whatever, but he didn't throw personal insults and he didn't, whatever. I don't know. It was quite bizarre. Like his reaction to a woman doing something against him is clearly significantly different from a man doing something against him. And that's just kind of fascinating and disturbing. I don't know.
Boy, he's really, I don't know how he's going to keep up though right now at this point, because he's got a whole bunch of us at this point that he needs to troll, because he has literally over the last 3 days messaged over 200 of my friends off my friends list. And first he tries to add them, and if some of them were dumb enough to accept it, like read my page sometimes, guys, they accepted him, and then right away they start getting spammed by all this stuff about me that he Googled. And when that wasn't working, then I guess he Googled a little better and found out, you know, put some other stuff up there. But this is what these people do.
Well, the funny thing is with him and me personally, he doesn't have any harassing screenshots or anything because I've had no contact with him at all. I even forgot about him because that message was back in January, right. And there's nothing, and then I get a dick pic, and then it was like the gates of hell opened up, and then he's harassing us. And like I said, he blocked me immediately after he sent that pic, and I'm like, well, I don't want to deal with this guy. Something's wrong with him, and I blocked him. So him saying that we've been harassing him when we're blocked and he's blocked, like we literally can't see each other on Facebook at all.
Well, and I asked him for a lot of that. I asked him, like, can you send me what the harassment, you know, that was taking place, screenshots, anything, just send it to me. No, he said, he literally told me that I should just take his word for it. And I said, oh, you're hella new to this field because you can't take nobody's word in this field. Like, you got to fact check everything unless you're just all about, you know, the gossip and everything. You know, he thinks that I'm using him, or well, actually all three of us are using him to gain, you know, to become famous in our own right so that somebody will know us. But if I was concerned about that, should have been bad a long time ago, because I could care less. I don't care if everybody knows me. I got to know.
The completely ridiculous thing about this perception that Jason seems to have is that it seems to be genuine. But the fact is that, like, I didn't look up the exact numbers, but I believe Christina's show here that we're looking at clips of, she has thousands of followers, if not tens of thousands. And my wife has many on her page. My wife's friend has a ton on her page. I have, nothing in the paranormal community because that's not my cup of tea, if I'm being honest. But I have had plenty of successful, not plenty, but I have a successful YouTube channel as well in Pure Heiser Productions. The project lasted a few years and I got thousands of followers there. Like Jason's pages, they have nobody on them. And what's more is most of the people on him, I have learned, are just fake accounts that he has made, like accounts that are just empty and they don't do anything other than like Jason Neal comments and posts. It's quite hilarious. He does it on YouTube too. He'll make a comment and then make 7 other accounts and make similar comments, but all the accounts have nothing on them and were just created. And then you'll see every comment of Jason and of all these fake made up accounts like Jill Hill and these silly made up names. All of them have exactly 7 thumbs up. Huh, that's weird. It's almost like he posted 7 comments from 7 accounts and then liked all 7 of them with all 7 accounts. It's just this guy is insane. This guy is so insane.
I make a good enough living and I have enough people that watch this show and support me to keep me busy just about every single month of the year. So I'm not worried about what he's going to do. He's not going to get me famous, although I did kind of find it quite hysterical that he was sending all this stuff to all of my friends and supporters and listeners to the show. Yeah. And I literally, for, I don't know, 3 hours, I finally had to turn the notifications off on my phone because, today, Rob, I was going, my phone was just ding, 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 messages. Everybody was sending me, oh, he just sent me this. Oh, he just sent me this. It was the same shit, but it was everybody. He was like a madman. He had to get it. The countdown was going, the clock was ticking, and that shit was gonna stop. And then, who happens out of the blue but my mutual friend? She pops up. Now, mind you, the whole time, when I told her, she already knows I do my research, and I went to her and said, look, privately, what the hell? Why would you bring this guy? Did you research him yourself? Well, no, but this happened and I think he's legit. Well, I don't go by everybody's feelings. And what I'm finding is not good. She seemed to think that from what he had said, you guys had done all the harassment to her and stuff, and as well. And but again, I didn't see any of that. Reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't support a douchebag that's faking shit and doing some really horrible stuff in our field. I don't see that as harassing anybody. I think that you're letting somebody, know what's going on. But she reached out to me and said, well, I think that you shouldn't do the show. I'm worried about your safety. Well, again.
Yeah, I mean, he does great lengths for sure. He actually got a hold of one of my private emails and sent me a fake cease and desist letter from a law firm. So I called that law firm to see if he was actually their client. No,
of course not.
Yeah, so it bothered me that he was given my personal email. But yeah, it's just been constant harassment, and then the whole thing with Travel Channel. I know quite a few people at Travel Channel, so I sent them screenshots of everything that's been going on, and a ton of other people did as well.
I was gonna say, you aren't the only one.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
Yeah, a lot of people did. But yeah, so Travel Channel saw everything that was going on, including him claiming that Travel Channel's attorneys, were the ones that were responsible for taking her husband's page down, and that he even threatened me that the same thing was going to happen, all these different things. Again, he's
convinced that he did it himself.
I know. It's just amazing, I kept trying to tell him, I mean, obviously, if you're coming to me and things aren't true, everything's going to point to that. And if you're telling me the truth, why would you be so mad before I've ever even looked into anything? I kept telling him, look, dude, if you are telling me the truth, I will be your biggest ally. I will wipe the floor with these girls. I will expose them for making all this shit up about you. And then I said, but in all capital letters. If the research comes back that it's the other way around, please believe I'm still going to put that information out.
Yeah.
And then he got pissed. But, well, I guess maybe I would too. But if I knew I was that close to being caught. I think he feels like he's kind of like an animal caught in a trap, because he's sent me threatening messages. He sent messages threatening me through other people. He's done all kinds of things. And
Yeah.
they do the same thing to you. It's kind of like his MO. And then he'll talk shit about you, and then he'll block you so he can talk shit about you and you can't see it. I mean, it's little games that he plays. So,
But Facebook says this guy is A-OK, but I gotta go. Fucking account deleted overnight, no explanation, no responses other than canned responses, business page gone along with it, clean track record for over 10 years on Facebook, haven't violated a single community guideline, wasn't even using a fake name, but my account's gotta go, right, Facebook? But Jason, he can keep his. He seems like an all right guy, right? He's following the community guidelines enough. What the fuck is wrong with you, Facebook?
So, my thing is for people out there that, know what's going on or don't know what's going on, stay clear of this guy. Like, he is spamming everybody, and, I want to say a big thank you. I shouldn't probably say that, but I was very touched at the amount of screenshots that I got from all of you. Basically telling him off, reporting his, screenshots you guys reporting his posts, his pages, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, funny, none of that does anything. Maybe some posts get taken down, but he keeps the pages, multiple pages under his real name and dozens more under fake names. It's cool. Maybe some of the fake ones get taken down once in a while. He just makes more, but his main page, he just gets to keep that. It's cool. Good job, Facebook. Good job. Good job.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it all. But I would rather that you just go ahead and just report him and block him, because
that's the problem, though, because like he seems to be able to use Facebook's flagging system, in a very nefarious way. But so many of us have blocked him or reported to Facebook for harassment, and nothing seems to be happening to his pages, and I'm not quite sure why.
The reason I say block him at this point is...
Yeah, so I'm really glad Jen brought that up at that point, and unfortunately they didn't really continue to discuss that angle of it. I understand, Christina does a paranormal radio show. This isn't about going after Facebook for her. This is about exposing a fraud and a serial harasser within the community that she is a part of. So I certainly don't fault her for steering the show in a different direction. But that point that Jen just made is the most relevant to my angle of this. And that is really, can anyone explain how this works? How is this possible that my account gets deleted and his doesn't? Given all of the evidence against him and the literally zero evidence against me of ever breaking any community guideline in over 10 years. How does this happen? No one can answer that. Or at least I haven't heard an answer to that.
He's made it very clear to me, especially the last few days where he's kind of been in a manic state, is that he wants the attention.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, thank you for making me famous. Thank you for giving me a free exposure. And I said, you're very welcome. Eat that shit up, buddy. Enjoy it. Because after the show, he'll be starved for attention. Everybody's going to block him. Nobody's going to pay attention to him. His shows, Travel Channel, they pulled his whole episode off the internet.
As far as my personal page goes, when this whole Jason started, I had to actually notify everybody that I was no longer taking friend requests until all of this stops or dies down a little bit, because I don't know who is disguising themselves, who I could trust.
And this is actually another important point I didn't touch on earlier. I'm going to have to do the same if I get my old Facebook account back and or if I have to create a new one. I, on Facebook previously, have always been very principled in just having my page be public. I don't share a lot of super personal information on there anyway. I use it more as a platform to just share things that I would share with acquaintances anyway, like disc golf accomplishments or videos, and then share my political opinions and have political discussions with people. So I always had it set to public because I was always open to anyone looking at my page and sending me a friend request, even if I didn't know them personally, if they happened to see eye to eye with me on a certain political issue, or if they saw differently than me on a political issue, but we had an interesting discussion on some comment thread or whatever. But at this point, whether it's my old account, if I get it back, or a new one, I'm going to have to set my profile to private and really scrutinize every friend request I get, because Jason doesn't only use his own name, he makes up fake ones and stuff, so I'm just going to have to make sure, and I guess that's fine. I'll just make sure I only accept people I know personally, but I don't know. Facebook is kind of a community where you're supposed to, at least in certain industries, connect with a bunch of people that you might not know personally. You know, for me, like playing a bunch of disc golf and being on a bunch of disc golf pages, I acquired a bunch of friends in the disc golf community to the point where there were lots of people on my friend list I didn't know personally, but I was part of groups and stuff where I could post and like, hey, I lost this disc on this course, on this hole, on this day, and if anybody gets it back, I'll give you a reward. And I get discs returned that way, and post things on my personal page, and not to mention like just having a larger group of disc golfers on my friend page helped me land editing gigs for Pure Heiser Productions originally, and later, filming St. Patty's for Central Coast happened because people reached out to me on Facebook who didn't know me personally, and I think Facebook works in a way where like if you send a message to someone who's not on your friend list, it goes to this other folder and people don't see it and stuff. So like those messages could have gone to that folder for me if I didn't use Facebook liberally and have a bunch of random acquaintances and people I don't know in real life on it. So now I'm going to have to use it in a different way because of this, because I just have to be extremely cautious to not accept anyone who could potentially be Jason in disguise under a different name or whatever, just to prevent the same thing from happening again. Because who knows, if he gets one or two accounts that make it through to my friend list on a private page, he might be able to use those to flag a bunch of stuff and get my account taken down again. Who knows? It's just really stupid. Like this, even if I create a new account or get my old account back, until Facebook fixes how their system works, like this isn't over. And that's just so stupid.
So yeah, it's I mean, I hate to say that I'm scared. It's not that I'm scared. I'm worried because I know what happened to Jen and her husband, and I don't want that to happen to me. I mean, our page, the Mr. Gang page, is very well established, and we don't make money off of it. It's not our business, but it's something that we're very proud of, and we love all of our followers and everything. And I would be devastated if it got taken down.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot like how I felt about my Pure Heiser Productions page. Thankfully, the project had fallen dormant anyway. I certainly would have been much more devastated if it was an active project. And of course, all the YouTube videos are still there, but the Facebook angle of it is different, right? And perhaps for me, more important than my Pure Heiser Productions page was just my personal page, because it's a track record of all the connections I've gained throughout my many years in the disc golf community as a player and as a filmmaker, and then later being part of other film crews and just connecting with all kinds of people throughout the disc golf community, many of which I might have played one round with them one time, but it is still cool for me to have that record of all the people I had met through this community. And with a new account, that's never going to be the same. I can't remember all 2,000 people that were on my friend list, and I'm sure I'll remember the ones that are actually significant to me in my personal life, but I just enjoyed having that record of the growing disc golf community and my involvement with it, so very similar to what Susie is saying here about, she's worried about him doing the same thing to her page. Yeah, well, I know how you feel.
So if you're able to get somebody's personal page down and they have a business page linked to it, or they have a business page that's linked to their personal one, if something is so outrageous that they take it down, they will take the linked pages down. But there's a way to keep it where it's not just, the group pages aren't just linked to you, so then they therefore cannot shut those down.
Yeah, so now I've learned in the future for a group page or a business page or whatever, I'll have to have multiple admins just in case this happens again. But I mean, even that's stupid. And honestly, like I said, my personal page was probably more valuable to me at this point than any other page. I could potentially start another project in the future where I have a business page that's more valuable to me. But really, just the personal connections and all the groups I was a part of and all the people I could easily get in contact with if I needed to and whatever was the valuable part to me. And I don't think you can have multiple admins on a personal page. So I don't know.
So unless you're actually doing certain things, they won't take your page down.
See, that's what,
Wrong. I was doing nothing, and my page got taken down. Jason could have spent months digging through posts on my personal page and my business page, and he might have found me getting in some arguments with people about politics, but there was absolutely nothing that came even close to violating any community guidelines. So I don't know why Christina has this impression, but no, apparently you can get someone's page taken down even if they haven't done a damn thing that even comes close to breaking any guidelines.
Well,
about
see-
my husband's page, because
Yeah, Jen jumped in to say the same thing because she's been experiencing this with me.
yeah.
he didn't even post anything publicly about Jason. Nothing. Our business page was like disc golf videos and like nothing at all. Like, and on his personal page, like no mention of Jason or anything outlandish or at all. Nothing. There's no violation.
That's the whole point, is that if you know what you're doing, I mean, you can get somebody's page shut down.
I mean, I hate to I don't know, but she Christina just admitted it there. Like, apparently she knows of a way to do it too, and she, I don't know her personally, before Jen appeared on her show here, and she seems nice and genuine and trustworthy and all that, and I would trust that if she ever did that, she did it for good reason, because someone was threatening her and harassing her perhaps, or whatever the reasons may have been. I'm not saying she didn't have good reasons to do it. And perhaps with how faulty Facebook's system is, people don't have a choice but to utilize that functionality from time to time. But like, if it can be used for good, it can be used for bad as well. So even if Christina has these tools at her disposal to get accounts taken down if she needs to, then people like Jason can also figure out how to do it, and literally anyone can figure out how to do it. For Facebook to put people in a position where, to protect themselves, they have to learn these crazy roundabout ways to manipulate the algorithm to get someone's page taken down, because any of the legitimate avenues that Facebook supposedly provides for that don't actually work right at all. Like, that's insane that this is how Facebook works. I don't have a lot of experience with Instagram or Twitter, but I know that YouTube, the flagging system is way better. YouTube has a problem with overly demonetizing videos that shouldn't be demonetized, but at least like stuff doesn't get removed or taken down unless there's legitimately something in it that violates community guidelines. But apparently on Facebook, like, if you know how to manipulate the algorithm, you can get anyone's page taken down at any time for no reason at all. Why does it work this way? Don't put good people in the position where they have to resort to using those tools in situations where they may feel threatened or whatever, because that also makes it so bad people can use those tools to go after people they have personal issues with in their lives, or in this case, some mentally unstable person who's going around doing it to every other person he talks to left and right on Facebook, and he's allowed to continue to do that. Fix your fucking system, Facebook.
I'm not gonna lie, I've shut down a few people's pages over the years.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, why does it work that way? Why, Facebook? I mean, oh, gosh.
Because we don't have a group page, we have a business page, the Mr. Gang. So, how am I supposed to know if it's not going to be shut down like Jen's husband's page?
Well, I'll send you some stuff too, because there's some stuff on the back end that you can do to kind of prevent and to appeal to get your husband's page back. There is ways about it. Like I told you, I had a good friend of mine, exact same thing happened. So, and it took her like 4 months of appealing to finally get the pages back. Yeah.
See, the thing is, I have been appealing and appealing and appealing, and at the beginning I was getting those canned automated replies, but since the last one I have re-appealed and reopened my case multiple times, but I don't even get replies anymore. It's been over a month since I've even gotten a reply from my, dispute thread on Facebook or whatever. So, I don't know. I mean, I'll keep trying, but until then, it's probably going to be a new account because it's kind of necessary to be in the disc golf video business, to have a Facebook page where people can reach out to you. I mean, I've already had someone reach out to me through Jen, like, hey, Jen, did Pavel quit Facebook? I have a tournament I'd like him to film. Like, how many other people might have been trying to contact me who didn't think to message my wife? Like, I'm going to have to create a new account in the meantime. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
It's just really of how much you're worth, or how much time you're willing to put towards it, to keep it. Again, I've seen, as we were talking about, I've seen people go and, spam porn and then go back, like we said, report it, and then have pages taken down. But
okay, again, like, if that is possible, Facebook's system is absolute garbage. I will admit that there are certain types of controversial posts where, like, an algorithm can't figure it out and they would need a human to review something that, like, pushes the boundaries of the community guidelines or whatever. But when it comes to, like, posting porn to a business page or a community page or whatever kind of group page, that's not a personal page, anything's not a personal page, posting porn to that, and then flagging all the porn posts on that page, how can that possibly, under any context, get that page taken down? Flagging those posts should always just get those posts taken down unless they are being posted by a page administrator, by the page itself. If they're being posted to the page by someone else, a computer should be able to tell the difference between that and a business owner, him or herself, posting pornography to their business page. Like, yeah, okay, if you have a porn business, you can't have a Facebook page where you post your stuff. Okay, but there's a difference between the page posting the stuff and people posting stuff to the page, and a computer should be able to see that. Why does the system not fucking work at all?
Again, if you can show all that, you can show that you're legit, that's the name, it's your page, none of that stuff was, they can track to see who posted it, the whole 9 yards. As long as if you fight hard enough and long enough, you can get it back. Again,
I've provided proof of my fucking identity countless times and showed that I was not using a fake name, and it's getting me nowhere. And I've shown proof of the stuff Jason has done, and it's getting me nowhere. But she did say 4 months. It hasn't been 4 months yet for me at the point of recording this video. I guess we're getting up on a month and a half-ish. But anyway, I'll keep trying.
Depends on how much time do people want to do. And that's the whole thing.
Okay, so I left a little blank space here just because we were talking about Facebook and stuff there, and then there was a long section about some semi-unrelated subject matter, and then there's a few more clips here towards the end of the show where we're back to, they are back to talking about Jason instead of the Facebook angle of it, but more relevant stuff I thought was worthy of including about him.
Like, he wants to do something that you care about. He wants to affect something that's going to bother you and affect you.
Which is why he doesn't have spouses or boyfriend, girlfriends. Yeah.
Exactly. It's why he still lives with his parents in the basement, and sits on the internet all day long with no job.
She's not just saying this tongue-in-cheek, by the way. This is actually a factual thing about this man. Not surprising, with someone with his condition, whatever it may be. But anyway.
Literally, he's put out posts that, the Ghost Bait episode got taken down because, he wore the burlap sack on his head and tried to face the demons, and he wasn't on his meds at the time. And
yeah, good job, Travel Channel. Good job. Let's get this crazy guy off his meds, because that'll make for some good TV, huh?
Look, there's a lot going on with this guy,
Yeah, Leon, looking at Leon's chat, and see, that's what I was saying. Like, he goes after partners. So Leon was saying that he put a screen capture of his wife's Facebook profile.
Right. And yeah, he takes it to another level. When he can't rile you up, then he'll go to the next best thing. Now, again, like with your husband, he'll affect his Facebook page and his business page. For Leon, he decided to start posting about his wife. Even your husband, Jen. Again, when you
do people not see that Facebook allowing this person to continue to do these things and make enemies out of everyone and go to extreme measures like contacting their spouses and posting fake information about them and sending it to all of their family members, that he could easily put himself in danger? Like, at this point, I've realized he's mentally unstable. And when this whole thing was first happening, my primitive side of myself had the desire to beat the guy up or whatever. And that has since faded. I have recognized that he is clearly mentally off in a lot of ways, and really just for his own safety should be banned from social media, period. But by going after spouses and children and parents and friends and family members and just relentlessly every angle he can figure out, like, eventually he's going to make enemies with someone who lives near him and happens to know who he is or where he lives or something. I don't know. And this could literally put this mentally deranged person in danger because of how incompetent Facebook's system is. Like, an account like this, it should take... A computer an algorithm should be able to figure out that this isn't a stable person and remove it just based off of some of the crazy shit he said. But especially if a human looks at the stuff that he is doing on social media and just looks into his account and like what he's flagging on a daily basis and fake reviews he's leaving everywhere on a daily basis, if any human looks at that, they will see, oh yeah, here's a mentally unstable person that probably shouldn't be on Facebook. But the system is so broken that he is allowed to continue to, just exponentially increase his base of enemies all over the place, which is dangerous. This is crazy. Why? I'm just blown away by how incompetent Facebook's flagging system is, and just Facebook as an industry or as a company is in general. Just the automated canned replies, and then switching it from Facebook team to Riley halfway through when it was clearly still a computer, but like giving people false hope that they've gotten a human. Like, just everything about their process is just disgusting and broken, and would literally be better than it is now with no flagging system at all. That's how fucking bad it is.
You have somebody coming after you, most people, if they have a husband, even if they can take care of themselves, the husband's gonna be like, all right, like, what the hell are you doing, douchebag?
Yeah, exactly.
This is the way it is, but he actually does this stuff purposely, again, so that he's able to hit a nerve. To be absolutely honest, just the fact that I had done the unsolicited dick pic show not that long ago, and it is becoming such a big issue in this field. Now, I had people tell me, or a couple people say, oh my God, are you serious, Christina? Like, we're all adults, and this is, we live in a world that's full of sex, and, you shouldn't feel like that, and, you're so mean, and everybody gets a dick pic, and what's the harm in it? And you know what? I think people who send the, nude pics of each other to anybody, especially online, are dumbasses. I've said it over and over and over, because every single time it then comes back and bites you in your ass when you guys are no longer together. But I don't care if two consenting mutual adults over the age of 18 want to send pictures of themselves to each other all day long. By all means, have at it. My problem is all of these guys that are sending them unsolicited. And again, it really pissed me off when he said that the reason that he told my friend that the reason that he had sent it was basically kind of like oh, fuck you, you're saying I fake pics, but now I got on a show.
And that really highlights a difference that I'd like to stress here for those thinking like, it's not really worth, exposing a guy publicly just for sending a dick pic. Like, yeah, there's multiple levels to it, as Christina just outlined. 2 adults, consensual picture sending back and forth all day, no problem. And honestly, even I would say, like, an awkward dude misreading a situation with a girl he's gone on a couple dates with and sends a dick pic and she's disgusted by it and didn't want to see that and wildly inappropriate. She should probably cut ties with that guy or whatever. But, and honestly, obviously, it's up to the recipient what level they want to go to. I'm just saying my perspective on it. In a case like that, I would say not deserving of being called out on social media or anything. Just like, ew, go away, creep. I didn't want to see that yet. We've only gone on 1 date or whatever, you know. But it's a whole nother level when it's like this fuck you response, you know? And especially in a case like this where it wasn't just a random dude, we didn't think at the time, sending the dick pic as a fuck you. It was a dude who had just gotten on a TV show and was scheduled to be on another show, I believe, and several podcasts, and was really getting his name out there in the paranormal community, and at the same time was harassing women and sending unsolicited dick pictures, not even sexually really, just more as like, fuck you, I got on TV, I can harass anyone I want, haha. Like, yeah, when you're acting like that, you're going to get called out, and you should get called out for a dick pic. And it's the context of it that makes it much worse than just, you know, sending a dick pic, period. In other contexts, 100% okay. In other contexts, gray area. In this context, especially when you're like becoming a respected personality in your community, in this case, the paranormal community, and you do that as a fuck you to other people in the same community as you, not appropriate, and you deserve to be called out for that behavior. No question.
Well, no, dude, fuck you, because you faked your way into getting all of that, you know. And again, it's like, there's no rhyme or reason to why he's doing it. It is definitely all towards women. I haven't seen him towards too many men. That I've noticed.
We do have.
Go ahead, Susie.
I was just gonna say we do have a mutual male friend who decided not to support Jason, and he did kind of like attack him, but it wasn't to the extreme as how he's attacked us women. So yeah,
I've seen that. It was much more like polite and like not any like name. See, what Jason doesn't get is the more he's harassing people, like there's a lot of people in the paranormal now, but we're still a small community, and like some of us have been in the field for a really long time and know a lot of people. And the more he starts harassing and getting on pages and putting himself out there, like, what does he think is going to happen? Like, it's really obvious that he's the guilty party, but yet he's trying to say he's innocent and we're harassing him.
And this really, once again, highlights his mental issues, where he really seems to legitimately think that by going out there to clear his name, he's going to get people on his side, like he thought when he first contacted Christina. And within, I don't know, hours of contacting her, immediately after contacting her, he was already admitting to her in private messages how he got my account taken down, you know, with 30 fake profiles and all that. Admitting it to her, not as a confession, but as in like, I did this and aren't I great? And, you know, you got to stop the haters, right? Am I right? Like, thinking that he was going to get people on his side by telling strangers to him who have podcasts with thousands of followers, telling them that, you know, I got this guy's page taken down by flagging it for using a fake name with 30 different accounts. You know, aren't you on my side? And people are like, what? No. But he keeps doing it. Like, every person he tries to get on his side, if they do 5 minutes of research, they figure out, like, that seems like you're guilty, dude. But yet he keeps trying. Like, it's just something's not clicking in the brain, you know?
It's the other way around. Like, I don't get, does he not realize what he's doing? He's just digging himself in a deeper hole. Because, like you were saying, his Travel Channel episode, if he had just sent the dick pic and left it there, didn't comment or didn't pursue anything further, he'd probably still have an episode. But
Yeah, that's a good point. If he had just left it there and let Jen and Susie and whoever post and call him out for that behavior on a few pages, and he can block them or ignore those pages or whatever, that would have been the end of it. But then all the relentless harassment that where I eventually got dragged in because my wife got tired of dealing with it and I needed to help out. It ended in my pages getting taken down and me becoming furious about that and contacting Travel Channel and Jen contacting Travel Channel and encouraging anyone else who had been harassed by Jason to contact Travel Channel, and he lost his episode. He lost his 10 minutes of fame that clearly meant the world to him. All he had to do was not be an asshole. And even several steps along the way, he would have had opportunities to rectify things. Like, I'm sure that even an apology to my wife, like, oh, I'm sorry, I was drunk and I sent that and I was angry and I apologize and can you please take down the post about me and I didn't realize that the app was faking evidence, whatever, just an apology. And she would have probably taken down that post too. But every step of the way, he turns things up to 11 and then up to 111 and then up to 1,111. Just spreading his base of enemies exponentially on an hourly basis. Like it's crazy.
he instead just starts harassing people and saying all these terrible things, and nobody cares about him, but it just it gets so extreme and discombobulated and manic that now he just added fuel to his own fire of demise, and he just doesn't seem to get it. And I'm sure after this episode, he's going to send everybody a bunch of messages and threaten and do the cease and desist and say Travel Channel's going to go after us and all that stuff. I'm counting on the harassment.
I got a screenshot where he admitted that he had contacted not the Travel Channel attorneys, but an attorney, quote unquote, a friend of the family. And they had and he called him about you harassing him online, and that the attorney told him that there really wasn't anything that he could do. He was just going to have to deal with it. And he was very upset about that, and he didn't want that known. But yes, he did try to get an attorney, and just as I told him too, there ain't an attorney that's going to take that. He ain't got no $10,000 to even try and pursue it, and he sure as hell ain't got no money. So don't worry about any of that.
No,
That's so ridiculous, though. Like, all we were doing was just sticking up for ourselves.
Yeah, well, but again, he's got some huge mommy issues and issues with women. I got that very, very clear, and which is why it didn't really surprise me when I saw a lot of the screenshots of the threats that he was sending women and the comments of, you need to sit down and shut the fuck up like you're supposed to, and shit like that. Like,
when I saw those pictures he was presenting and his cry for help and how he was a victim, and that's the card he's been playing, is that he's the victim this whole time. Right. That's why I could feel he was unstable right away, but that's why I private messaged him, because I didn't want to call him out publicly, because I'm not about that. I'm not trying to embarrass anybody, but people always send me pictures and videos and photos. I'm really good at analyzing stuff.
Including me. I'm one of those people.
I work in the tech field, so it's easy for me to spot different things, and I know all the apps that people use, and I can see if they're using Photoshop. So that's why I was actually tagged in that post about what he was showing people, and that's where it all started from. So he's just taking it to extreme levels, doing what he's doing, and then just harassing so many people. I mean, there's probably a bunch of people that just got a message from him and ignored it and didn't come forward. But that's the thing, the more we push the behavior under the rug, oh, it's just a dick pic, or oh, it's just fake evidence, just ignore it, the more and more it's going to happen, and the more people are just going to accept it as okay when it's not. And Facebook has given people like that a platform to post things and get notoriety and get popular. So it's got to be stopped somewhere. So I'm really glad you did this show and looked into the actual facts and that he's not the victim here. And nobody's harassing him. He's harassing everybody else. So I thank you for doing your checks and balances and actually looking into all of this. It's much appreciated.
And yeah, I didn't get to thank you personally, Christina, but I have to thank Christina as well for doing this whole show, because it was very eye-opening to not only watch the show and hear other people's accounts, including a lot of parts that were edited out of what I showed here, other people's accounts of their interactions with this guy, and just seeing the extent of what this guy was doing on Facebook and other social media platforms. So thank you, Christina, for doing the show, and for being the one who revealed to us in the first place that Jason admitted how he got my account taken down, because for weeks I was trying to figure that out. And at least figuring out that he did it by flagging it for using a fake name was a step in the right direction of learning what happened. It's even more bizarre to me, however, because I wasn't using a fake name and I showed a driver's license, and a computer should be able to see that that's a match and give me my account back, and that should be the end of it. But anyway, I very much appreciate you doing the show as well, Christina. And let's see if there's a little more here before I wrap up the video for everybody else.
So again, thank you so much, ladies, for joining me tonight and coming and actually putting the truth out and putting the end to all of this bullshit rumors and the BS that he's doing in our field, and taking a stand. So thank you so very much.
Thanks for having us.
All right, well, that's the end of that. And I pretty much covered everything in my part of the video before we started watching the clips from this podcast. The only thought I had at the end there that I didn't really touch on is, again, the Travel Channel angle of it, giving this guy a platform by inviting him on a show on national television, which seems to have really exacerbated his mental condition that he probably obviously had before as well. So if Travel Channel hadn't given this guy the platform, then like literally none of this would have ever happened, first of all. But second of all, I mean, maybe whoever made the decision at Travel Channel wasn't aware or didn't know that he had mental issues or whatever. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The big part of the story for me, the biggest part of this whole debacle is, as I've said 1,000 times, how broken is Facebook's flagging system? That psychos like this guy can get my account taken down and probably plenty of other people's accounts taken down. And he's just one guy. How many other people are out there doing this exact same thing for perhaps less psychotic and more vindictive reasons? How many businesses are getting a leg up on their competitors by abusing this system to get their competitors' pages taken down? Probably not many in the grand scheme of things, but I wouldn't put it past a few shady business owners to do that if they figure out that it's possible. People going after their exes, hell, politicians hiring someone, that can't possibly be traced back to them to do this to their opponents' pages. Who knows where the limit is? Like this, it blows me away because this is just such an extreme example. And Facebook still couldn't get it right. Like, if they can't get it right when there's a mountain of evidence against one person and literally not a shred of evidence against the other, in this case, that being me losing my account and Jason getting to keep his account. If Facebook can't figure it out in a case like that with a mentally unstable person who keeps shooting themselves in the foot, where I just keep accumulating more and more evidence against them on a daily basis, if they can't get it right in that case, how are they ever going to get it right in a case that's between a more vindictive, intelligent person abusing the flagging system and not going around revealing to strangers that they did it? Then Facebook will absolutely never get it right. So my greatest frustration from this, thankfully, has shifted from being directed at this guy once I realized that, like, there's something mentally wrong with him. He isn't just some random douchebag, like he's probably mentally ill. Shifted to some frustration at the Travel Channel for giving this freaking guy a platform in the first place, because I just can't believe that. But above and beyond all else, Facebook's flagging system is so fucked, and I can't believe it. And that's the end of that story. I guess this will be posted on my new Facebook, probably my old Facebook if I get it back, my YouTube, and possibly on other social media platforms if I decide to create those accounts. Okay, to those of you who made it to the very end, all 0.2 of you that are still remaining, thank you for listening to my rambly ass for what is probably going to be hours at this point. But I appreciate it, and again, if anyone has connections at Facebook, bring this to their attention. Maybe they don't want to see my 2-hour video, but, you know, bring it to their attention how broken the flagging system is, because this desperately needs to be addressed. Because I don't think this happens on other social media platforms. People abuse the flagging system and get stuff demonetized and whatever, but on YouTube, but you can't get something taken down unless it's absolutely horrendous. But apparently on Facebook, if you know what to do, you can get anything taken down at any time. Cool, right?